Hi everyone! Today's card's going to be using the Concord and 9th Christmas Cheer Turnabout stamp set, and I've just got a stamp press. I'm using the Tim Holtz one, and I'm going to place the sort of guide onto the card or into the stamp press and then pop the stamp over the top of it. You can see right through it, so it's quite easy to line up. And then I've taken the actual guide off and started stamping. So I'm going to do this in a few different colors, and I'm actually going to do a few different types of, I'm doing 3 cards in this one if I remember. So basically you keep the stamp where it is and you just turn your cardstock each time. So you'll turn it and use 4 different colors if you like. You can use obviously the same color and then color them in yourself. But this way you're just stamping, turning, stamping, turning, stamping, turning. And it creates this cool background. Now I find it easier to use a larger, or sort of a 6x6 or a larger piece of square cardstock like this. Makes it so much easier for me. I can't seem to get the A2 bit down. So this just works out much better for me, and it's just so much simpler. So, you know, I had to take the hassle out. So this last round I'm going to actually emboss in gold embossing powder. So I'm using some Versamark ink, and then I'm just going to emboss those pieces, that stamped image again, and it will come up in the gold embossing powder. So I've got 3 colors and an embossing powder. So it just shows you how you could mix this up, sort of thing. So here's the card up close. I think I'm trying to show you while I'm heating it as it heats up. You know, try to do something fancy on my video, but that's, you know, it is what it is. So I've used some crumb cake cardstock here from Stampin' Up, and I used 3 different colors. I think I used the cherry cobbler, the it might even been garden green, can't remember, and a early espresso, I believe. So now we're on to what would be the second card, and this is where I try to use this Stamp-A-Majig, not Stamp-A-Majig, this jig for the I can't talk, for the Turnabout stamp. So this is another way that you can do this, is you temporarily stick your cardstock to the jig. It has numbers on it in the corners. You line up your piece of you know, the overlay, so the piece that has all the sort of an image on it of the stamps. You then do exactly the same thing. You stamp it, turn it, stamp it, turn it, until you've covered that entire piece. That worked okay. I just found it easier with a larger piece of cardstock. Just takes one step out of it for me, and there's less cleaning as well. So that just worked out better for me. So on this bit, I just wanted to show you there's a ton of other little stamps that allow you to color the images in and fill them in with some ink. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm just on this what will be the second card. I've just decided to color these images in using my ink, and it's basically the stamped image that is a solid version, and you're just adding those in. So like on the candy canes, it looks really funny, the stamp looks funny, but the when you put it over the stamped image, the outline image, it fills in all the little, what would be the red and white stripes, so the red stripes. And then there's the baubles, and there's the trees and presents and hats, and there's a few different types of hats, and you know, all that sort of thing, and the deer. So I thought this was really cool, and I kept to the same sort of color palette. So I kept the same red, I kept the same green, the same brown. I basically used the same color palette and just went across and filled them all in. I did bring in some Pool Party and Mint Macaron, I believe, of Stampin' Ups, and that was just for the mittens and one of the other hats. I just wanted a little bit more color. It's not normally the colors I would use for Christmas, but I thought it worked pretty well for this design. And this piece of cardstock is a sort of standard A2 size card, so it's sort of 5.5 by 4 1/4, I believe. Might be slightly smaller, but it's that sort of size anyway. And I wanted to show you from a stamping point of view how you can use your Turnabout stamps either on a square piece of cardstock, which is what it will create, is a square of this pattern, or you can use it on a smaller piece of cardstock. It doesn't have to be that specific size. So I just found it easier to have a larger piece of cardstock. I think 6x6 would work. I think that's sort of the size. But you can use a smaller piece of cardstock, and I was hopefully showing you enough there so that you could see that that's what you could do. So on this larger one, I'm going to actually cut using some I think these are waffle flower dies, layer dies, and so I cut the craft piece out, and then on this one I decided to create a frame. So I've just stuck two pieces of two of the dies together to create the frame, and then I'm also going to do the same thing on a piece of glittery cardstock, and you'll see when we come to put these cards together how that comes together. There was a leftover piece of the craft, so I just punched that, and I'm trying to decide whether to use what is the frame from the other card or not, and you know, all this sort of thing. So I decided not to. So I've got a standard A2 size card here. I'm going to emboss with some Versamark. This isn't going very well, isn't it, today? And just on a piece of white cardstock, that's going to be like the layer that goes on the card. So this is 4 by 5 1/4, and I'm just heat setting this. And again, this is all from the same stamp set, so that's what I thought was quite cool. I've made 3 cards, and I've done them all differently, and they've all, you know, they're all from the same, all the images are from the same stamp set, so I thought that was very cool. Now here I do another gold one in the same sentiment, just heat setting that with my heat tool, and using some tweezers because, you know, it gets kind of hot. And then you'll see I do realize that I actually needed a silver one, and I sort of made a boo-boo, so I had to redo one of them. But that happens, it's not the end of the world. And then there were these little star stamps in there, so I just added those as an extra thing on the actual, like, sentiment. I don't know what you call them, sentiment topper thing. And here's where I made another gold one, and I should have made a silver one, so you'll see the silver one will pop up in a bit. Silly me. But it was the same thing. I did exactly the same thing. I just used silver embossing powder instead, and I used some circle dies just to cut out the circle, you know, the circles that the stitch circles that I had. So I've got some old Stampin' Up! Twine here that I decided to just wrap around that piece, and I'm just using washi tape at the back and then wrapping it round just a few times, just so that it's just a bit of texture and a bit of something on there, so it doesn't look quite so plain. And then I'm going to put some foam tape on the back and get that stuck down. In hindsight, I probably could have put some adhesive on there as well, just because the foam did seem to want to pop up because of the twine. It tends to want to pop up a bit, so I could have put extra adhesive on there. And then I'm just going to stick this straight on the card, and that's card number 1 done. Oh, almost done. I also did the same thing on all of them. I put Merry Christmas, again from the same stamp set. I put that on the inside, just in some cherry cobbler, and I thought that was quite cute. And then I forgot about this bit, I decided to add some Nouveau Crystal, these are the glitter drops, just because I thought there was something missing there. In hindsight, I probably didn't need to add them in there. It would have been just fine without them. And I found that the gold didn't quite match, so it bothers me a bit, but it's fine. So on card number 2, the second craft one, I'm going to again wrap some twine around there. I thought it looked really neat, so I thought I'd do it again. And this time I'm wrapping them so that they don't cross over, so they're just a few lines of them, if you like. And then this time I'm going to use just flat adhesive, double-sided tape, and I'm putting extra on there because of that twine, because I realized that from the first card. And I'm just going to stick that flat to the card base, which is just a white A2 size card. And then I'm going to add the sentiment on with some foam. And again, I should have put extra adhesive because it's not sticking as well to the twine. So that's just something to bear in mind. Just add a bit of wet liquid adhesive and it should hold it just fine. Again, put my Merry Christmas in the middle, in the card on the inside. And then this is where I realized I'd done the wrong color. I needed a silver one, not a gold one. So I'm redoing this one. And then just using a silver embossing powder. The embossing powders are Nouveau embossing powders, in case you want to know. They're the classic gold and classic silver, I believe. I made this video ages ago, so I just thought it's time. We just need to get the actual voiceover done. So it seems a little erratic, that's why. So, and also I'm up to my neck in Halloween at the moment. So this is, you know, it is what it is. Right, so this is where I've taken the frame that I made in the silver glitter paper, and I've just inlaid it into this pattern. And I'm just using some washi tape at the back to try and line it up as best I can. It may not be perfect, it's fine, do you know what I mean? It's handmade, it's not supposed to be perfect. But I'm just lining it up with some washi tape at the back to try and hold it all together. It makes it easier to stick it onto the card than trying to do each individual piece. And then just flat sticking this with some double-sided tape onto the card base. And I did add quite a bit. I mean, you know me by now, I add a ton of adhesive. And I'm also adding some wet adhesive with this one. Again, because the double-sided tape is going over washi tape, so it may not stick as well to the washi tape. And I definitely don't want this one to fall about and come apart and all that. So I've added some extra adhesive on there, just to help, really. And this one covers the front of the whole card. So so that, I thought that was just a nice sort of touch. And I've got a bit of washi tape there I needed to sort out, but it's not the end of the world. And I thought that was quite a nice thing. It just gives a little bit, it almost like takes it just to another level by doing the sort of inlaid frame on there. So that's the third of the three. So I just thought I'd show you a close-up. This is the one that I used the offcut. So I know the video I had to super speed up. So this is what was left over from the first craft piece, the big square of it that I stamped. I then have the standard piece that I'd cut out from that craft piece, and I love how I've got a bit of embossed on there as well as the colors. And I love craft. I think craft colored cardstock is such it's a good neutral to have. And then this is the white one, where we stamped the colored ink, you know, the stamps, the solid pieces to color the images in. And those are the three cards. So I hope you liked this video. I hope it's a good start to my Christmas series. Fingers crossed. Apologies, it was such a fast video, but I hope to see you soon. And I hope you like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you want to see more from me. Merry Christmas, everybody. See you next time. Bye.